Yo, what's going on? This is Edward Williams, founder and creator of Health by Any Means Necessary. So I'm back again. I was just on here not too long ago. If you didn't get to see that broadcast, make sure you go check that one out. Had to go see a patient, and that was a great follow-up. Great follow-up. Talking about a sister who has taken a hold of her health, and in conjunction with fasting and lifestyle changes, especially food, she has made a radical turnaround. But I want to get on here and try to briefly go over a lot of the withdrawals that people may be experiencing when they're coming off of medications or when they stop medications, and kind of explain that in a very straight up way, straightforward, no BS or anything like that. And I have to get back and see another patient. So, but before I actually explain that, I do want to use a scenario because I just like it. So let's say you have a kid, right? This kid is about 9 years old. You send this kid to school every day. He's 9 years old. You send him to school every day, and every day this kid comes home with a note that he is getting in trouble. Whether it be him walking out of class, whether him be yelling, whether it's him getting in fights, but it never ceases he never stops coming home with a note that he is getting in trouble. Now, if you are a busy parent, if you're working, if you're stressed out, if you have all these other things going on, you may not have the patience to actually sit down and figure out what's going on with this kid. And in this scenario, that's what we're going to be. We're going to be the parent that's extremely busy, and we just don't have the time to really sit down and go through the psychology of this child and figure out why he is constantly getting in fights, why he is constantly acting out, why is he constantly screaming, why is he skipping school? Like, why are you not going to school? Because all of these things are taking place. You're finding out because that's what the teacher is telling you. What if, just what if, the reason that this kid is doing what he's doing is because he's defending himself? He's defending himself about something you know nothing about. He's defending himself from something that you were told is not going on. What if this kid is defending himself from several other kids who are constantly bullying him, ridiculing him, picking on him, stealing things from him, and in conjunction with that, the actual teacher knows about that. Not only does the teacher know about that, but she actually sanctioned it. Okay. What do you do in that situation? Because the teacher knows about it. The kids are picking on that one kid, but the teacher's giving you a very different message than what you think to be going on. And because you are so busy, you have all these things going on, you don't really have the time to sit down and talk with this kid. But what if, just what if, you said, look, I gotta sit down and figure out what's going on with this kid. And you say, look, Rashid, what's going on? Like, why are you always fighting? Like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And this kid comes out and tell you, I'm being abused. I'm being beat up. They're picking on me. They're stealing my stuff. They're embarrassing me every single turn, every single chance I get. And you ask, well, why don't you tell the teacher? Like, why don't you, speak up? Well, me telling the teacher would have meant nothing because the teacher knew it was going on. The teacher was actually watching it. Matter of fact, the teacher took a video and put it on WorldStar. Like, she knew everything about it. All right, so why didn't you tell me? Because you didn't even take time to actually ask me what was going on. Your first response to me was to raise your hand, punish me, take away stuff. Your first response to me was one of conflict. It lacked compassion. Your first response to me was not a response as a mother or father who wants to understand what's going on with his child. Your first response was one that you already took the bait of the teacher. Therefore, I felt like I was left to defend for myself. Let's switch over to the body. What we need to understand is that when we're talking about high blood pressure or diabetes, specifically I want to talk about high blood pressure. Once again, high blood pressure is an adaptive mechanism. Your blood pressure has performs an extremely important job, as of all the actual functions in your body does. You have from 37 trillion to 75 trillion cells in your body. They all have needs. They all need nutrients. They all need oxygen. From those nutrients and oxygen, they will now produce a byproduct of waste. That waste needs to actually get back to the actual area that's going to now excrete them from the body. That flow of blood does not Your red blood cells provides all of those things, but your red blood cells cannot just walk around your body. It needs to be propelled throughout your body. So, with that being said, you have 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Those blood vessels are going to encase the blood, which includes the red blood cells that are going to provide those things. The red blood cells are also going to take away the actual waste from your cells, from the actual metabolic waste from the cells, and excrete them as well too. They're going to give it oxygen. Now, within those 60,000 miles distance of blood vessel, the heart is pumping at a rate that will be enough to continuously pump the blood to where it needs to go. In the case where that blood needs to increase, such as you running or you squatting or you doing something vigorous, well, your blood now needs to get to the areas of high contractility at a faster pace. So if you're sprinting and you're using the biggest muscles in your body, your quads and your hamstrings, that blood needs to get to your legs at a faster rate. 120/80 is not going to be enough. Therefore, your body is going to make the intelligent adaptation and increase your blood pressure. Now, when it comes time to increasing your blood pressure on purpose, your body has several ways to do this. It'll cause vasoconstriction. It'll increase the actual fluid in your body. It'll also secrete several hormones. It'll increase the actual contractility of the heart, meaning that the heart's going to pump harder. It's going to also thicken the blood, thicken the blood so that you can, if in the case you actually fall, you won't bleed out. You'll be easier to clot. So your body's going to make it possible for you to do all these things, because as your body see it, it is survive or die. And if you can survive, your body's working towards thriving. But for the most part, your body want to make sure you actually are able to survive, and it's going to adapt to your environment. So in the case of high blood pressure, once again, like I said in the last video, if you have a blockage in your artery, if you have an actual blockage, a fatty buildup of plaque, if you have an actual decrease in the actual the space of the actual arteries because you have inflammation, which is going to decrease the actual area that your blood has to flow, or if you have stiffening of the arteries from atherosclerosis, meaning that the vessels can no longer dilate upon command, and your kidneys are not being perfused properly, your body knows that it needs to actually increase. It needs to increase the actual blood flow to all of those vital organs that you have, but also to all those cells that you have as well too. And so, what your body's going to do is not going to allow you to just die or not survive. It's going to take the actions that it needs to take to actually make sure you're able to survive this event. So the body's going to, they call it sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic is called fight or flight. The parasympathetic is called rest and digest. Rest and digest is for the situations where we are either resting, chilling, and we're digesting, and reproduction. That's what's going on in that area. Therefore, you are in more of a calmer state. Things are not emergent. You could take care of things that deal with thriving. So things that deal with thriving, your hair looking a certain way, your skin looking a certain way, reproduction, all those things that deal with surviving. However, when we're talking about the sympathetic nervous system, we're dealing with survival. We're dealing with getting the blood to a certain area. We're dealing with actually making sure your blood can clot at a faster pace. Therefore, if in the event that you fall, we can make sure we stop the bleeding. Your body's not worried about reproduction. Your body's not worried about digestion, which is taken care of on the parasympathetic side. When you rest and digest, you're able to break down foods. When it's fight or flight, the breakdown of foods, that process is horrible, because you're not going to have the actual contractility that you need in your digestive system to properly break down that food. And so people who have high anxiety, panic disorders, or very stressed out or depressed, you're going to notice that they also have, a lot of times, digestive issues as well. Why? Because when you are in that state of high stress, anxiety, panic, worry, you're sympathetically activated way more than everybody else. Therefore, your body is constantly firing off. Your body feels like they are in threat. Your body feels like its overall world is in threat. Therefore, your body is constantly thinking, how can we survive? How can we survive? How can we survive? So you're shooting off hormones, and your body's not worrying about thriving as much as it's worrying about surviving. Therefore, digestion takes a very low priority. Your body's trying to make sure you don't get digested by the lion or the animal that's chasing you. So let's bring it back to blood pressure. With blood pressure, if your body feels like the blood that you currently the blood pressure you have right now is not sufficient, your body's going to make intelligent moves to increase that blood pressure. These moves can be anything from contractility, increasing the contraction of your actual heart, decreasing the actual area of the vessels in your arteries. That way the blood pressure, we call it vasoconstriction, that way the blood pressure is going to actually increase that way. Now, how does the body make that happen? It makes that happen by secreting hormones. Your body's going to, your brain is going to tell your body to secrete hormones that are going to go down to your kidneys, and those kidneys are going to secrete other hormones such as epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline. And what those hormones are going to do is they're going to go onto receptors that are scattered all throughout your body. All throughout your body, you have receptors. Mainly, I'm going to talk about the alpha receptor, which is the adrenergic, and then the beta receptor. These receptors that are located on your heart and your blood vessels are going to be activated by the actual hormones that your body has secreted. When those hormones are secreted into your blood, those receptors will now go to those hormones will now go to these receptors, such as the alpha receptors on your heart or the beta receptors on your heart, and it's going to activate it. When these receptors are activated, they're going to either constrict, such as the blood vessels, or they're going to contract harder, such as in the heart. When we're looking at medications like metoprolol, labetalol, clonidine, so these are all these medications are blocking some type of receptor. Specifically in these cases, because when we talk about rebound hypertension, or we talk about somebody coming off of medication or stopping medication and their blood pressure just shooting through the roof, like I'm talking about like 240 over 160, this is rebound hypertension. Most likely they have stopped taking their medications abruptly. And so this looks really bad, right? It looks like your body is trying to kill you. It looks like you need the medication. It looks like you just have to stay on it. And that's the way most people are telling you it, except for the doctors who want to actually see you do better and they actually know better. They know that, no, you just can't stop taking this medication. We got to actually titrate you off because your body has become dependent on it, but dependent in a very different way. Not that your body needs it. And I wouldn't even use the word dependency. What I would say is that your body is like that kid. Your body is, if you let the doctor tell it, if you let society tell it, your body is acting out. Your body is getting in fights every day. Your body is walking out of class. Your body is skipping school. Your body is acting out just like that 9-year-old's acting out. And you have no other reason to not believe that it's not acting out because the teacher is telling you that it's acting out, which would be the doctor in this scenario. They're telling you that the body is acting out. Not only that, they're telling you that you got a history of this. You know, it runs in your family. And so with the body, quote unquote, acting out, and the teacher, which is the doctor or the healthcare provider in this situation, you believe that you need to take these things. And so you're taking these things, but we haven't really sat down with our body to really figure out why our body's responding this way. Because there's always a reason why our bodies are responding in a certain way, specifically when we're talking about blood pressure and blood glucose. With blood pressure, like I said, your body's trying to adapt. Your body's trying to actually survive in this environment. Therefore, your body has sent out hormones to actually make your heart contract harder, or sent out hormones to actually make your vessels dilate. Your body knows that there's a decrease in perfusion to these cells. And so your body is programmed, make it happen, make it happen. Get that blood to where it needs to go by any means necessary. Get the body's blood to where it needs to go any means necessary. Now, the medications come in there and they say, forget all of that. Forget all of that. And they come in there and they block receptors. So we're talking about labetalol, metoprolol. These are beta blockers, meaning that they block the beta receptors. Therefore, when your hormones that are secreted by your body goes in to actually activate these receptors, they can't get in. They can't get in. They can't activate the receptor because they're blocked by the medications. When the alpha receptors are blocked by the medications and your body's telling your heart to contract harder, it can't do it because the actual receptors all around the heart is being blocked. And, the doctor may have to even increase the medication to make sure that it's blocked. So, but nonetheless, the signal of low blood flow is still getting to your brain. Your brain is still getting the feedback that the amount of blood we are getting to our 37 trillion cells is inadequate. We can do better than this. And we need to actually increase it. So I'm going to tell y'all again, like I told you yesterday and the day before yesterday, increase the blood pressure. I don't understand. I'm sending y'all out there, go out there and activate these actual receptors. But what's happening when the hormones get to those receptors, they're being blocked, and now you have a buildup of hormones in that bloodstream. And these hormones don't go anywhere. I mean, you'll eventually metabolize and they'll be excreted, but they stay around for a very long time. Now, make sure y'all remember that, because if I'm telling you that your brain is constantly telling your body to increase because the actual level of perfusion for those 37 trillion cells is inadequate and it wants more, and it's sending out those actual hormones, but the hormones cannot activate the actual cells because the medications are blocking the receptors. What happens in the scenario when you stop taking the medications? It goes through the roof. Because you've been telling your body for the longest to increase blood pressure. You've been secreting all of these hormones to actually activate these receptors. And they've been being ignored for the longest. Now all of a sudden, that blocker is no longer there. But you have a whole lot of activators. And so what happens? It gets activated because your body is still operating off of, we need to get this blood pressure up. So the blood pressure skyrockets. Like, people see numbers they ain't never seen before in their life. They didn't even know that blood pressure can go that high. But your blood pressure can actually get up really high, especially when you're squatting like around 400 over 2 something. It gets very high. But anyways, but so this is what happens, and this is the actual reason behind these what we call rebound. This is why the medications have to be titrated off, because your body has to actually get back to utilizing its own hormones to actually activate the receptors, and those hormones have to actually get metabolized in your bloodstream, so there's not enough around. But nonetheless, even when you come off the medication, if you haven't been doing anything on the dietary side, on the nutrition side, the blood pressure is still going to go back up. It won't be as high as it would be if you just stopped the medication cold turkey. But nonetheless, it's still going to go back up because the problem is still there. The restriction, the blockage, the constriction, whatever the problem was before is still there, unless you actually improve your overall nutrition and lifestyle. So that's why I always recommend, we never just stop medications cold turkey. In some cases, we may over here on this side. In some cases, we may, especially if you're a young male and for whatever reason your doctor has on you a massive amount of insulin. But different story. So this is why if you're going to work with your doctor, if you want to stop medication, you have to work with your doctor, because they're supposed to have the knowledge to actually decrease medications. But in conjunction with that, you need to actually make sure that you're doing what you have to be doing on the nutrition side. And on the actual fitness side, and just moving. You ain't gotta go to the gym and lift heavy weights or anything like that, but we have to move more because our bodies are designed to actually move. So this is why. So in the actual, like I said, the blood pressure does come back down as long as you're actually eating healthier. And so the only reason why the blood pressure went up that high in the first place is because you had a lot of hormones that were available to actually activate those receptors. But once those hormones go down, the actual blood pressure goes down as well too. It may not go all the way down because you still have to deal with the actual problem. But nonetheless, this is not a situation where you, in most cases, I can't speak on everybody's case, but in most cases, it's not a situation where you just have to remain on it forever and ever and ever, unless the medications and the lifestyle have caused reversible damages, which that can be a possibility as well too. but everybody's situation is different. So just wanted to get on here real quick and talk about that. Hope I made sense. Hope you all understood me. Also, make sure you check out the new program we have coming up. It's called the Fast Life 28-Day Challenge. I'm extremely excited about this program because, like I said, fasting is my gospel. Fasting is everything, and I know for a fact what fasting can do for all of us, for our community as a whole. Like I said, I do this on a daily basis, and I can't wait to see how the community responds to it because I already know for sure what's going to happen. All right, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and get off. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.